Hello, all. Welcome to Hockey on Tap Podcast, episode 124. Get benched, the Lightning fizzle out. I love it, Sam. Very good. I'm your host, Bill Dean. Of course, I'm here with my three co-hosts, Shorts Guy, Little Steve, and the guy on the end, the man, the myth, the legend himself, the guy who breaks cars and is most likely to get thrown out of his house come hockey playoff time.
I
Schwinn.
still
TVs.
I still TVs.
TVs.
TV
Yep,
Steve.
still TVs. We are brought to you by Primetime Radio, courtesy of Mr. Wu. I'll be behind the glass today. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Please leave us a 5-star review if you'd be so kind. Gentlemen, what are we drinking? Steven?
I'm going back to last week because that was delicious. I'm drinking citrus squall again. It's in here somewhere. Just trust me.
Very good.
Hey,
Schwinn?
look at that. Should have missed out last week.
Hey.
Yeah, I missed out. So this is my last one. I already drank the other two. So this is the last one. Finishing it up today. Thank you, Shorts Guy.
So
Hey,
I got a new one.
thank
I
you to
went
my
to
sister.
yeah, thank you, sister. I went to that little liquor store up in Warwick, and I got Beer Tree Brew. This one's called Hyper Swirl. It's blue raspberry fruited sour. So my question to you guys is blue raspberry an actual thing, or is that just they literally food color raspberry? Is there an actual blue raspberry?
No.
Like, did they mix a blueberry and a raspberry together, and it's called blue raspberry, and I just haven't seen one?
It's blue dye
No.
number 40.
Yeah, they take whatever artificial flavors make that and throw in some blue. There you go.
That's blue raspberry.
There you
Ooh, that is potent.
It tastes undeniably of blue.
It does. I'm gonna be
Yes.
Papa Smurf at the end of this thing.
Okay.
Purple's
All right,
I'm gonna
Shorts.
get. I'm gonna get a little bit serious and potentially emotional. So, unfortunately, like you guys know, I had to say goodbye to Tread over the weekend, and she was a constant visitor onto the podcast. And I was wondering what beer I was gonna drink today. And I had this beer in my fridge for a while, and I figured this was fitting. It's by Rusty Rail Brewing. It's a cotton candy hazy IPA called Pretty Kitty.
Pretty
And-
kitty. I like
That's
it.
awesome.
So the reason I picked this up at the liquor store when I did a while back is because that was one of my many nicknames for Tread was Pretty Kitty. So that's why I felt this was fitting for tonight, and that's why I wanted to go last because I knew I was going to be a little bit of an emotional intro to my beer because unfortunately my little buddy's not here to jump up and join us in the podcast anymore. So this is to this is to
Yeah,
Tread.
to Tread.
And
Yeah, Tread, we'll miss you,
Good
Tread.
guy.
We'll miss you,
Miss
Tread.
and a
Tread.
great
Cheers.
and a great
Cheers.
thank you to you guys. Cheers to you guys, and a great thank you especially to Steven who helped me all the way through it. So thank you.
Yep.
And,
Of course.
I
to
mean,
Tread.
To Tread.
Obviously,
Cheers.
when a family
Cheers,
member
Tread.
passes, it sucks and it's something that really hurts you. But it's the same feeling with an animal, and like that's
Oh
you get the same emotions because they're there with you every day and they're showing you unconditional love. And just know that Tread, obviously, his life was better because of you, and that you
Her,
should be proud
her.
of that one. So her,
It was
sorry,
her.
Her life.
I'm just yes, her life.
No, I know.
I think
Her life was
you know
awesome.
what it is. Mac is coming up on 10 years old, which is crazy to me, and I'm like,
Yeah.
one day I'm gonna be so fucking miserable because this jerk that doesn't first of all, Mac doesn't listen to shit. Like he could hear a butterfly fart three blocks down, and I say, Mac, come here, and it's like water over the bridge, just nothing. And like that animal will severely just ruin my soul when if and when something happens to him. Same thing with Minnie, but like you think like the pets in your life do so much for you, and you don't think about them
yeah.
maybe all that much as like a grandparent that passes. Like it's just because they're always a constant, and that's where I think it hurts the most. But we love you, bud, and we're
Yes.
here. And Tread the cat, you were fantastic.
Yeah, and she always needed, just kind of like Melvin is right now with Steven. Tread always needed to be wherever I was.
Yep.
So she always, even towards the end last week when she could barely even move, she was still finding a way while limping to climb up here and just sit on the desk. So she'll be missed, and I had a lot of people reach out to
Yep.
me. So thank you for that, and thank you to you
Good.
guys. So drinking a Pretty Kitty in honor of my missing my little Pretty Kitty.
Cheers,
a lot of
pretty
people
kitty.
on Facebook Live
Cheers.
sending condolences, referencing to their animals, and it really is. It's
Thank you to everybody.
It's going to be fantastic. Ray Leo, you look, gentlemen, how are we? You'll look like a Rangers jersey. You are going to be wearing one soon, Ray, when Timo does not sign. So, all right, let's get to what's on tap for today's episode. Here's our weekly snapshot. Gentlemen, there's no better way to start off a podcast than someo's misery. And
here we go.
Let's talk quick, and we'll get into the trades afterwards because there were a lot of trades.
Let's just open the floor. Post
our last podcast, and so here's where we're gonna go. Tampa Bay struggles, 5 straight losses. On Saturday's game, you had John Cooper sitting his top line, Kucherov, Stammer, and
Point.
Kucherov, Stammer, and Point. Thank you. On Sunday, injuries to both Kuch and Hedman. I didn't see anything about Hedman, so Shrimp could talk about that in a second if he had any news. But what was it? The second period, they had 0 shots on goal.
Yep.
And that's the first time that's been done all season, which is amazing that Tampa has that moniker for them. So Schwim, are they tired? You needed a week. Let's just put it this way. I think, and Steve and Shorts guy, I think will back me up. I think Schwim needed a week like this to garner anger and then watch his team go on a long run. That's exactly what this is. This is fodder for a long championship run. The Rangers, sorry, the rumors are that they wanted another D-man at the deadline. And then my question to that would be, why would they trade legend Cal Foote?
I saw the writing on the wall with him. I knew he was going to be the one guy gone when they were doing the trade, but I didn't know they were going to trade friggin' 5 draft picks and a prospect for one player. But anyway, that's it. We all know about that. That is what it is. That's what Brisebois does. Getting back to their rate of play as of late, and Hedman is okay. I heard they were saying he was day-to-day, but they said now he should be okay and not miss any time. Kucherov came back in the game, right? I think in the third period. Yeah. That game, I didn't think it could get worse than the that benching game against Buffalo, and then then they proved me wrong. So I was telling you guys before. Yeah, I was telling you guys before. I didn't actually watch the game at home. I was at my wife's brother's house, and so I was very subdued over there. So I was just watching and keeping my anger to myself pretty much the whole time.
That's the key.
Yeah,
get you out of the house.
But yeah, no, they're 0-4-1 in their last 5. They're being outscored 27-11, I believe, in those last 5 games. In their last 10, they're 2-5-3. And also being outscored. They're in a rut right now. They're not. I'm a very pessimistic person, but I'm trying to stay I'm trying to stay glass half full here. They have a homestand coming up, and they're very good at home. So maybe that's exactly what they need. They're playing Philly tomorrow at home, so maybe that can jumpstart something. But I don't know. They just do not. They look like that game last night. They looked like they had no. I don't know if it was energy or just no jump, no nothing. They were showing. I don't know. Did you guys watch the game at all?
Did
you watch
bad?
I
heard a little bit on the radio, but
they were showing pregame stuff. They were showing in the locker rooms. You know how they hype up in the locker room and announce the starting lineup. They did Carolina's, and the guys were jumping all over the place. They showed Tampa's. And it was Brandon Hagel doing it, and there was no energy whatsoever. Even the guys, the Liam McHugh and Bissonnette and all those guys for the pregame were just like, what the heck was that? Awesome. One was, it was complete opposites of locker rooms, and it was just I don't know if I gotta assume they're probably a little bit tired because they've been going on runs for the last friggin' 3 years.
Yes, 3 straight series they've been in the Cup final. Since we started the podcast, since we started the podcast, they've been in every single Stanley Cup.
I don't know. So I think they're just in a really, the coach said, they're in a rut right now. I was hoping that benching in the third period would maybe get some sort of response in the following game, but no, there was nothing. I wasn't expecting them to win that game, even if they did, play well, but because Carolina is a really good team.
Yeah.
And
They're no slouches.
they're just, I don't know. Their team D is terrible right now, and their actual defensemen are not good. Ian Cole, Zach Bogosian. They got a young kid, Nick Perbix, back there. Chernek's out with an injury. Hedman, it's just nobody's playing well right now.
It's all because you traded defensive legend Cal Foote.
I don't know what they were thinking.
Do you think John Cooper
Schwinn,
is losing the locker room?
I don't know. When I heard about that benching of those three guys, I'm like, oh crap, this is like the beginning of the end. Because I've never seen that before since he's been there. I've never seen them. Well, I've seen guys benched, but not three. You're basically your three best players for a whole period to try to get a.
If you're down, if you're down, you need those guys in there to get you back.
Yeah, but it did light a spark for them for the third period. But
I do see. So there was back when the Cowboys. This is going to kind of football, but back when the Cowboys were the Cowboys, I think it was Jimmy Johnson berated Emmitt Smith in front of like everybody. I think it was in practice he had a bad day or something. And he just berated the crap out of him, and it basically showed the team that no one on your team is above and beyond
anyone else.
Getting chastised and the same. I think what's his name San Antonio Spurs coach Greg Popovich did that with Tim Duncan too. You're talking about like one of the greatest players of all time, and that I think that's a good thing by Cooper. I think that shows that he has I think he has the pulse of the locker room. He knows what he's doing. He strategically went after his three of his best guys and said that this isn't acceptable. And I think that I would love for that to be my coach. And instead, my coach allows a bunch of schmucks to play like crap and still get playing time on the fourth line. But like that's the kind of thing you need as a coach, and I think that's what really in a locker room. That's the kind of approach you need and to set that tone, and I think it sets it for the rest of the game, and I like it. I think John Cooper, that's why he is a two-time. What is he? He's coach of the year once, right?
No, he's never won. He's been nominated.
He's
never won coach of the year.
Multi-time nominee of coach of the year. That's why he's one of the best. I mean, he won 2 cups.
Who needs coach of the year when you win Stanley Cups?
Exactly.
I'll take that. I'll take a Stanley Cup over Jack Adams any day.
Yeah, even Sullivan, when they went back to back, he'd never won a Jack Adams.
Yeah, it's crazy, but that's a whole nother story that we can get into. But one thing, real quick, after that benching in the Buffalo game, you would think there would be some sort of response. I think if Tampa maybe came out and scored the first goal in that game, maybe that game could have been a little bit different. Maybe not still win the game, but show signs of life. But as soon as they let up that goal, it was like everyone was dejected from that point on, and obviously it showed. They had 4 shots in the first period and 0 in the second. It's just like I don't know what was going on.
Facebook Live, keep chiming in. We appreciate all the comments. Ray Leo saying, I hate to tell you this, Billy, but I think Gallant's on his way out. I agree. I think he has to win a cup in order to save his job. So, all right. So,
hold on. I have one hard hitting question for Schwinn. One real hard hitting question. Here it comes. So, are you going to draft well this summer to restock your covers?
They can't even do that either. So it's just like
they have a 6th and 2 7th
draft picks.
Yeah, they have 3 picks this year. This year's draft,
3 picks, 6th and 2 7ths.
Hey, if they win, if they somehow I don't know, have a big turnaround and win the Stanley Cup this year, I'm not going to complain. They can have 3 draft picks.
Irrelevant.
But I don't know. It's just like
or this offseason, you could trade Braden Point and Kucherov and see what you can get back. You can get back a lot of firsts.
All right, that's true. Yeah. That'd be one way to acquire draft picks.
You're not blowing up the team yet.
No, you're not blowing up the team.
No, I'm joking. There were rumors that Tampa looked for defensemen post the Tanner Jeannot trade. That they looked at guys like Radko Gudas, who Florida wasn't going to deal him across the state, but
good. I don't want him.
And then Toronto also talked to both Nashville about Matthias Ekholm and to the San Jose Sharks for Erik Karlsson. that this was reports by Elliot Friedman that they went and talked to both those teams. That would have been crazy if Tampa was able to pull
Carlson
like that. Oh my god!
No, if they tried to acquire Gudas, I would have been that like. He's not a good defenseman. All he does is hit, have big hits and take stupid penalties. Like we already have enough of that with Ian Cole and Corey Perry.
And Bogosian.
Like, I don't need any more of that. Bogosian, yeah. Bogosian doesn't take as many bad penalties as Ian Cole does, but yeah, I would have been even more angry if they acquired. They probably would have traded. God knows what they would have traded to acquire him.
Yeah,
I would have been living.
The rest
don't
of
have
the picks
anything.
for the next 3 years.
The 6th and the 2/7 for Gudas.
6 and 2/7.
Oh man, they have no picks.
Transition into Shorts guy because I think that his trade deadline was not very good. And Shorts guy, this is solely based on one player. We talked on the podcast last Monday that Damon Severson for a first-round pick, and you didn't get anything for him. And I want to know what your opinion is on that. And did that make the deadline kind of just poof shit?
No, I don't even know if they were actually going to move Severson or if there was even talk about moving Severson. I threw out Severson for a first rounder just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes teams get desperate on deadline day. No, it wasn't a shit day. I mean, bringing in Lazar, I got that alert like halfway through in the morning. What was it, like 10 something in the morning? I was like, who the hell is this? And I
like Curtis Lazar.
Well, yeah, I started looking more into it, and I was like, oh, I kind of like this guy. And then someone shared the video of him eating a cheeseburger. Someone threw on the rink.
I remember that.
It's like, okay, now I really like this guy because he is a nut job. So, yeah, he's gonna be good.
Solid bottom six, for sure.
Yeah, solid bottom six, and we have a solid 4 lines that we have guys competing to be guy number 12, which I think is a fantastic problem to have, is having competition at the 12-13 spot and not just the 1 through 6 or even in the bottom 6. So bringing in Lazar was a good final finish to it. Getting the big fish in Timo Meier early and getting him starting to become acclimated with the team sooner rather than later was good too. I mean, it worked. He was on the ice for less than 10 minutes last night, scored a goal. Granted, it was against Arizona, but Arizona plays very well at home, and we the 4 of us saw that in person. Arizona beat Vegas. Arizona's beat Boston at home. So it's not like Arizona's a pushover at home. It was always going to be a potential trap game. The Devils wind up pulling it off, but the big thing is Timo Meier made a splash in his in his debut, so that was awesome too. But whatever. Severson didn't get traded. That's not a big deal. So we'll see what happens with him come summertime. Maybe he's dealt at the draft. Maybe he resigns. I have no idea. But I was just kind of throwing that Severson for a first out there just for the hell of it.
I think Severson should have been traded for. You could have gotten something for him. I think when you guys were shit, and he was just like a trade target. I think you could have potentially gotten some. But at this point, I mean, even if he walks, I mean, you didn't lose. You didn't miss anything.
No, because we've got so much in the defensive end of the team coming up in the next couple of years. It's between Luke Hughes and Nemec, it's going to be we're going to have a good solid defensive core for a very long time because these guys are all really young. And if he walks, he walks. It's no big deal.
And then they're talking about Luke Hughes will join the team after his Michigan career, or was Michigan season's over. So another defenseman comes in. All right. So we left off last Monday's episode with the trade of McCabe to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then the 28th, you have an underrated trade in Jesse Puyarvi going to the Hurricanes. They grab a third-line winger who I like a lot. I think he needed to get out of the shadow of Connor McDavid, and I think that's a very good move for them. You had the Wild acquiring Marcus Johansson for a pick. Then the Leafs just went on a multi-trade tear where they grab they trade Rasmus Sandin, which I thought was a mistake. I like Rasmus Sandin. I think he's going to be a very good player for them. They trade him to the Capitals for Eric Gustafsson and the first-round pick, which was Boston's that they acquired for Orlov. Then the Islanders acquire Pierre Engvall from Toronto for a third-round pick, so Toronto then gets a pick back, and they go around and deal that for to the Vancouver Canucks for Luke Schenn. So they bring in 3 different defensemen in this trade deadline, as well as a bunch of forwards. And there was talks that they could have even, gone out and got more players. They're talking to Nashville about Ekholm. They were talking to San Jose about Carlson too. Toronto was all over this trade deadline, which was fun to see. And I guess I want to get your guys' opinions. So they bring in this treasure trove of players. Do you see this as honestly the over the hump boost that they needed in round 1?
I don't think they're any better than they have been in the last couple of years, to be honest with you. I like the Ryan O'Reilly acquisition. He just went on LTIR.
Yeah, he's hurt.
Today.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Obviously, better than a lot of the acquisitions that they've made off-season trade deadline in the last I don't know how many years. Ryan O'Reilly is a playoff player, proven Conn Smythe winner. The rest of the trades, I think, are just typical Toronto, just throwing just a random pieces into the mix, like we've seen.
I worry about chemistry, getting all those random people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I actually don't know. It looks like a lot of it is. I mean, I don't know where they're going to use them, but it looks like a lot of it is just depth players. So maybe not all of them are even going to be in the lineup. They're just kind of there just in case. But no, the Ryan O'Reilly trade was big, and Jake McCabe, whatever. I think that's fine, but no, I think they're still, just like they've been the last couple seasons, a great team. Very powerful offensively. It's questionable on the back end, especially goaltending. So I think it's just same old Toronto, right? They make a whole lot of moves, they make a whole lot of noise, and then you keep getting the same result.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
They certainly can.
That's what I need.
I
need history on my side. Round 1.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the teams the last couple playoffs, and you're just like, yeah, they should at least get past the first round. They have the team's there. It's a great team. I mean, they're solid, strong team, but they have question marks, and then they just do what they do once they get into the playoffs.
See, I wonder about Toronto, and like you said in the back end with their goaltending, because who are they gonna?
Yeah.
Who's gonna be their starter? It's
Samsonov right now. Matt Murray. I don't know what's going on with the cap situation. Well, yeah, Murray came back probably because O'Reilly's on LTIR. I know that they were having a hard time activating him because they had no cap space.
Yeah, but come playoff time,
but
it doesn't matter.
Come playoff time, obviously doesn't matter. But I would assume they heading into the playoffs with a goalie that has playoff experience. Matt Murray has 2 Stanley Cups. That doesn't mean that he was good in the playoffs after the Stanley Cups, but that's beside the point.
I think
they start with him, and then if it goes awry, then they go right to Samsonov.
I mean, Samsonov has one playoff series, right? Last year when they lost.
Yeah.
I mean, if Colorado showed us anything last year, it's that a really good team can win with an okay goalie. So maybe they're kind of hoping for something similar.
I don't think Kemper is an okay goalie. I think Kemper is. I think he gets. I don't know.
Good.
I think he's better than average.
Yeah.
I think he's top quarter at least.
He's not a showstopper like Vasilevsky that'll win.
No, but I mean, how many are there that are showstoppers? I mean, and you look at the Cup winners from the last few years. I mean, other than Vasi, who has been the showstopper? You have Matt Murray, name that.
Murray and Binnington. Murray and Binnington were great, right? For those little short spurts.
Yeah.
Vasilevsky obviously is, a Vezina candidate year in, year out.
Level.
Yeah. And you have Holtby, right? Holtby's was pretty solid for a while, right?
He was very much.
Did he win a Vezina? I believe he won one, right? If not, he was Holtby. If not, he was nominated a few times.
Yeah, I think he was nominated. Yeah.
And then you go back to what Khudobin did for the Stars. I know they lost in the finals, but Khudobin wasn't. He was not a fantastic goalie, but they needed that last little bit. So it's I don't know. That's where I think that Toronto maybe should have gone out and maybe if they could have found a way to fit it, Jonathan Quick. But he was He was you know what I'm curious? I'm curious if Columbus sold any Jonathan Quick jerseys in the 48 hours he was on the Blue
There,
Jays.
there was a guy wearing one at the last game.
Was there?
Yeah,
That's
there's
awesome.
a guy wearing one.
Jonathan Quick, 32.
I sent you. I sent you the photo that they posted where Quick is going around with regular players' gloves on. He didn't even have goalie equipment on, doing like
yeah.
That picture was terrible.
Fantastic. So the Minnesota Wild, they made a couple moves. They got Gustav Nyquist. They got Marcus Johansson, we just said, and they got Klingberg. So they make a couple moves to try to make a push here. The Rangers then make the officially put in for the Patrick Kane trade. They get him and defenseman Cooper Zek in a 3-team deal with the Coyotes as well involved. They get Blackhawks get a conditional second, which will become the first if they hit the Eastern Conference Final, and then they get also a 4th-round pick in 2025 NHL Draft for basically a load of crap. Coyotes get a 3rd-round pick as well, so that officially made the Rangers the winners for the Patrick Kane. Columbus Blue Jackets. That's worked out. It's 2 games. I'm not worried. Columbus Blue Jackets acquired goalie Jonathan Quick and a conditional 1st-round pick in the 2023 draft, as well as a 3rd-round pick for Vladislav Gavrikov and Jonas Korpisalo. Quickie was obviously very unhappy about that trade, and Columbus and Jarmo Kekalainen were able to go out and find another trade partner, and he eventually is dealt to the Las Vegas Golden Knights, which is going to be fun when the Knights play the Kings in the first round of the playoffs. But,
that's going to be fantastic. And also, is it true that the general manager didn't even tell Quick that he was traded to Columbus? He found out through
he found out
something
on
else?
they think that
or
actually he found out. Yeah, he found out via Elliot Friedman, because Friedman talked about that he had the
ridiculous
news and he wanted them to tell him.
Stupid.
Yeah.
I hope that's not real. I hope that's just.
I hope
so too.
The guy won you cups. It was on his back.
Yes.
Like, that team was good, but they wouldn't have won the cup if he didn't play otherworldly in those 2 series versus the Rangers and the Devils.
Even if he didn't do anything for him, have the respect for the person to tell that, you're the general manager. If I don't know if this is true or not, but if you're the general manager, have the respect for the player and tell him, hey, we're trading you to wherever. Don't let these guys find out from friggin' Twitter or shit like that. It's ridiculous.
I really hope that's false.
I hope it's not true also.
So then, a couple moves on that Wednesday. The Avalanche get Lars Eller to essentially fill their second-line center role, which I guess if there's one team that can put Lars Eller in their second-line center, it's Colorado, and have it work out. So we'll see how that works. Carolina Hurricanes grabbing Shane Gostisbehere to play on the little power play, PB2. The Vancouver Canucks made a surprising deal for me. I didn't think they'd be buyers. I mean, it's not so much a buyer because Philip Hronek has some contract left, but they acquire him in a 4th-round pick from Detroit for a conditional 1st in the 2023 draft, as well as a 2nd-round pick in 2023. So they needed a right-hand defenseman, and they went out and got one with Term. Hronek's a very good, he's a good defenseman.
I was very surprised that Stevie Y would trade him.
Yep. And then another defenseman who's kind of been on the trade block for a little while, Jacob Chychrun, gets moved to the Ottawa Senators. Arizona gets a 1st in 23, a 2nd in 24, and a 2nd in 2026. Chychrun had a pretty good first home game. He had his family all there. He's from Ottawa. So good on Chychrun to finally get moved, and that saga's kind of over. We don't have to talk about it anymore. Vegas Golden Knights trade for Pittsburgh star legend Teddy Bluger. Steve, were you upset to see Teddy go?
No, I don't know. I don't know what ended up happening to Teddy. I think he's a very effective 4th-line player, potentially 3rd-line player, and he had they had a great line in him, Tanev, and Aston Reese a little while ago, but then he got his jaw broken by I can't even remember his name. He used to play for Dallas, now plays for Winnipeg, Dylan, and came back, and I don't know if it's hesitation or what it is, but he became pretty ineffective, so he was a contract that needed to be moved.
Schwim, you guys had to trade Vladislav Domestikov again because you're a bunch of jerks. He goes to
Apparently.
the Sharks. But then, so Steve, we talked about Teddy Bluger. You guys made a couple other moves. Mikael Granlund from Nashville Predators for a second. And then you also grabbed, I was just looking at this and I forgot my space.
Kulikov.
Nick Bonino. Thank you.
Yep, Bonino.
Let's talk about it. Do you think those are the two guys that can kind of get you going and back into the playoff race a little here?
The Granlund trade is. I'll circle back to that one. Bonino, I like the Bonino trade because he's pure rental there, but they gave up next to nothing for him, and I think he can potentially fit. They needed bottom six because I told you that third line that they were putting out there that doesn't exist anymore was the worst line in hockey. Kapanen now with St. Louis, Brock McGinn now with San Jose. Jeff Carter, unfortunately, is still there. But I think the Bonino trade was fine, and then the Kulikov. I like Kulikov as a depth guy, but I think he's going to go. He's going to go in probably tomorrow.
How many D-men you have now?
10.
I think they're just banking on guys going down or something. I guess.
I mean, 10. It's 10. It's 10, including it's 10 NHL caliber defensemen. Ty Smith, who is currently in the AHL, is an NHL caliber defenseman. Mark Friedman is an NHL caliber defenseman. He's also in the minors. He got waived and he got sent down there. And then Rue Weedle is also just he's the guy that kind of hangs around. P.O. Joseph is probably coming out of the lineup for Kulikov. I would prefer it to be Brian Dumoulin. I wouldn't have taken P.O. out personally, but P.O. hasn't been overwhelmingly great, so it is what it is. But I think Kulikov helps in the defenseman area. Bonino helps in the bottom six, and then there's Mikael Granlund, who is a very good hockey player with a very bad contract. I heard this comparison earlier today. It's like, say, for instance, you go to Target, right? You need to buy Kleenex. You go in, you get the Kleenex. Kleenex is great. It's what you wanted, except you paid $700 for it. A little bit overpriced, right? So his contract carries 2 more years after this one of $5 million per year for potentially a bottom six guy. You're just bringing in another horrible contract. So it was bizarre because it looked like Hextall was making all the right moves. Getting Kapanen's contract. St. Louis took that off the books. McGinn got shipped off. That was another contract he needed gone. Teddy Bluger was another contract he needed gone. Nothing was going to happen with Jeff Carter's contract. I know people wanted there to be, but it just wasn't going to happen. And actually, that's where I learned specifics for no movement versus no trade clause. No movement clause, player cannot be waived also. So, so there's nothing they can do with Jeff Carter unless he says, "Hey, yeah, sure, go ahead and waive me." But no one's gonna do that. He's not gonna want to go play for the AHL, right? Unless he can find a trade partner, but no one's gonna trade for him. So they're stuck with Jeff Carter. Mikael Granlund, like I said, great hockey player, horrible contract. So it's just another one of those head scratchers. Why bring in something like that?
Did Nashville retain any with that trade?
No salary retained at all. That was another thing. It was just like how like with all this salary being retained all over the place, how? And a player like a equally I think as effective player like Nino Niederreiter went to Winnipeg for a reasonable cost, and he has a very, very reasonable term. So,
so for Granlund, you gave up a second-round pick in next year's draft, and if you guys do this year's draft, and if you do miss the playoffs, that's a top 45 pick. Like that's a very good pick to give up for someone that the contract's not great, and like you said, they weren't. He's just a good third-line center, right?
All the people
he's
are saying
necessarily a center.
The head scratcher.
It's a head scratcher because it's like he made all this. He cleared all this cap space with getting rid of these players, which I thought was a small miracle in and of itself. And then he just brings in another horrible contract, and in fact, a contract that's probably worse than the ones he just got rid of. Is strange. And it's all the talk in the Pittsburgh media about this particular trade and Ron Hextall, failing as a GM. again, I'm going to reiterate his re-signings of Malkin and Letang. I thought were genius. Like those guys took major discounts.
Yep.
Of course, the term's not great, but of course the term doesn't matter, right? Because they're playing, and they're going to compete until Sid doesn't want to compete anymore. So I don't know. It's just, and now now they're stuck. If they ever want to move this contract, I don't know how they can do that.
Matt Banky kind of set me up for this one. I was going to say this one next. Boston loading up. They bring in Tyler Bertuzzi in exchange for a conditional first in 2024 and a 4th-round pick. Now, immediately you start seeing the videos of him and Marchand just going at it because they hate each other. Bertuzzi is not like Marchand since he basically came in the league. So I wonder how that first introduction was when he walked to the locker room. But Bertuzzi's a hard guy to play against. He's basically going to fill the role that he's not going to fill the role that Taylor Hall had because Hall's more of a goal scorer. But he's going to slot in that second line wing spot, and especially until Hall comes back from IR, which I'm sure was a good move by Boston to put him on IR until the playoffs start. But a very good player to grab in that second line spot, Tyler Bertuzzi.
Boston is like the epitome of just they made two moves really, and it fit everything, and it fit everything that they needed. Like they needed another D-man, solidify the blue line. They went and got Dmitry Orlov, and I think Hathaway is a great pest, bottom 6.
Yep.
Pain in the ass, right? Woo. So that helps there, makes him tougher to play against. And then you bring in Bertuzzi, who has, both that plus skill. So you bolster your middle 6 there. So I think everything they're already rolling, and they look unbeatable, to be completely honest. And I think the moves they made were perfect.
Hot take: I don't think they're going to make the Cup final.
They're not going to even come out of the East? That would be crazy.
Not even come out of the East. I don't think they're making the Cup final.
All these teams that finish with the top record, President's Trophy, usually don't. But
yeah,
I don't know.
But they're a little bit different than those normal teams. This team is a wagon right now.
This team looks
ridiculously good.
I don't know what's going to happen.
I don't think
maybe
they make it.
Maybe someone happen playoff
I think
time.
there's because they're going to have to go. First of all, they're probably going to have to play a Buffalo, who is going to be. Buffalo's a tough out. That's not an easy play for them. Then after that, they're going to have to face the winner of Tampa.
Don't destroy
and
Buffalo if they're playing Buffalo first round.
Yeah. I don't think they'll destroy them.
I agree.
I
really don't think
guarantee if they're playing Buffalo first round, they will destroy them.
I say
guaranteed.
6 games.
It'll be a sweep. Games. I'll call a sweep right now.
All right, I'll bet swim on that one.
Sorry,
so
JJ.
If they're playing Buffalo.
Between you two?
Sorry, JJ.
I don't know. I'm with you, Billy Dean. I kind of have a feeling that Boston's going to have this hot season. They're going to win the President's Trophy. And I can see them just shit it in the first round.
Yeah, but who on the team? Who on the team with the only one I can see potentially just all of a sudden completely fizzling out is maybe Ullmark, right? The rest of that team, they know the leadership. They have everything in place to make sure that team does not falter. And if they're beaten, they're just beaten because they're beaten by a better team, not because they've
had that leadership for a while now, and they have not won in a while either.
Yes.
But they also didn't have the team, right? And no knock to Bruce Cassidy, but Jim Montgomery is really doing wonders with this team.
Montgomery's good.
And I think he was an underrated coach. He had an unfortunate addiction problem that I hope he's kicked by now. But I mean, they're very, very well coached. The leadership is there in spades. And they just, bolstered their lineup. Literally the only thing I can see is if a real red hot team decides to just start going on some kind of tear, and can out compete them. I mean, possibly, but Pittsburgh just can't win in Boston, so I just can't imagine that ever happening.
Right now, they'd be playing them first round. I would think it'd be a better series, Pittsburgh Boston than Buffalo Boston. I think it'd be a much closer series.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo.
No
wins.
way.
You
Buffalo